Hello and welcome to my channel. We all know that this is back to school time, and really a year ago around now, I put out a video on my channel that talked about why I quit teaching, why I quit being a public school teacher. And at the time, basically my reasoning that I shared had a lot to do with how teachers were treated during the pandemic, the money issue, there was lots. I'll link the video below. But it also had to do with the fact that I felt there was another career out there maybe calling my name that I wanted to try out, which is what you see me doing here. However, in my first year of creating here on YouTube, there have been some things about teaching that I have really missed, and I did consider going back to the classroom. So much so that I guess my thoughts were really loud, because one day I went out, I was hanging out at this patio, and this lady's kids were running around, and I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm like, oh, they're so cute. And she comes over and we start talking, and she's a recruiter for the district that I worked at before I went to California. And she's like, this is your interview. I could get you a job by Friday. So I had to really think to myself, do I want to go back to the classroom? Like, am I for real about it? And if I don't want to return, what would it take to change my mind? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the reasons why I still am excited that I left teaching and the one thing it would take to bring me back. Before we get started though, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video,
Helix Sleep. So what is Helix Sleep? Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door.
Like most people, sleep is very important to me. And as a result, I want to make sure that I'm getting the best sleep possible. So I was really excited to partner with Helix so I could try out one of their wonderful mattresses.
In order to order a Helix Sleep mattress, you take the customized sleep quiz, which matches your unique body type and sleep preferences to make sure you get the perfect mattress for you. They have something for everyone's unique taste, and if you sleep with a partner, you can even take the sleep quiz together and find something that's a great compromise for both of you. Based on my results, Helix matched me with their Helix Midnight mattress. And that's because I am personally a side sleeper who likes 2-edge support and a medium feel, which is a not too soft but not too firm mattress. With your Helix Sleep mattress, you get a 100-night sleep trial, along with a 10-year warranty and flexible payment plans. So that way, if it makes you nervous to buy something you haven't tried, you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. If you don't, they'll pick it up for you and you get a full refund. The best part about all of this is that Helix delivers your mattress right to your door for free within the US. It comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up yourself.
I've had my Helix mattress for about 1 month now. And what I like the most about it is that I'm a person who likes a combination between like soft and firm. And I feel like it's the perfect combo of those two things. I also like the fact that it helps me feel really rested. And so that means that there's not a whole bunch of tossing and turning that I do when I'm on the mattress. And that of course means that the mattress is extremely comfortable. If you'd like to try out a mattress, please feel free to go to the URL below, helixsleep.com/TefCo, to receive $200 off your first order and 2 free pillows. Okay, so as I said before, it is back to school time, and all over my timeline, I see teachers talking about returning and how that makes them feel. I see some people expressing extreme emotional distress. I see others super excited to like set up their classrooms and be back, with the kids and be back in their routine. I see a lot of people disappointed that summer vacation ended so quickly. And as I said earlier, I was almost one of those people who headed back into the classroom. And actually the story that I told in the introduction was the second person that I met who was like, the other person was somebody that I had gone to school with who now had a role in admin and was like, I could bring you in at any time. It was crazy how the door was open if I'd wanted to take it. So why didn't I want to go? Let's start off with something that I'm seeing all over my timeline, which is teachers afraid of the emotional toil that this year is going to take on them because of what they experienced last year. Last year, during the first year post-pandemic, or the first year really dealing with, the aftermath of the pandemic, teachers were really just worked to the bone. Whether it was the task of having to readjust students to the climate, to the scholastic climate, students who had, in some cases, never been to that type of school before. So let's say you had a student who was in the 4th grade whenever they, whenever they left school because of the pandemic, and then they're starting the 6th grade and they've never done middle school before. Or maybe you had a 5th grader that's now in 7th grade and they've never been to middle school, so they missed that really important developmental year. They had to accommodate for knowledge gaps. They had to accommodate for a lot of behavioral issues. And in a lot of ways, it was extremely overwhelming. I heard about at one campus how kids who hadn't been together in a while had to come together on campus for the first time. And there were a lot of racial conflicts. There were a lot of different conflicts within different social groups. And the weight of dealing with that fell on the teachers. I know that there were schools where a lot of the administrators left, or there were shakeups there while people were dealing with the pandemic. And when they came back, it was like being on a whole new campus in a whole new world. And for a lot of people, that was very, very hard. And so going back to school this year, you have a lot of teachers that are super, super anxious. And I just know that when I was working as a teacher, my anxiety was real. I've talked before about how, I don't think I got into detail about it, and I won't get into detail here, but I definitely have stories where I definitely suffered from anxiety, and it manifested itself in different ways within my body. And that was just being overworked during regular times. During the pandemic, I can't imagine having to be on campus for that because I got to work remote. And I also can't imagine having to try and get a campus in order after that. While I do think that now it might be a little easier, kids are like, okay, we know what's up. We're a couple school years removed, I believe, because we had 20 in 2021. Most people were back in campus by spring of 21. And then 2021, 22 was like the first full year back. I still think that there's a lot of damage, and there's a lot of things that will never feel really normal again. There were a lot of rhythms of schools that were changed. There were a lot of rhythms of school districts that were changed, and a lot of people are still in recovery mode, which brings me to my next point. The teacher shortages are wild, and that does not do anything to help with the anxiety. If you are in literally any state, specifically the state that I'm in right now, there's so many openings for teachers, and we are right around the corner of school opening. In fact, it's so bad nationwide that they're considering making teaching a vocational certificate, or just like a technical certificate, instead of a 4-year degree. There are some places where they're like, you just have to have some college to get in the door. You don't have to have gone and graduated and then gotten a teaching certificate on top of that. And not only is that insulting to the profession, but then when you think about the fact that these people that are going to maybe take these positions haven't really done the hardest part, which is going in and having to take what you know and disseminate it to children and monitor their behaviors and their learning and this and that all at the same time while you're learning your job. It's overwhelming. And I know what it's like being a teacher and having 1 or 2 teachers come to me and be like, hey, you seem like you know what you're doing. Can you help me out? I can't imagine being on a campus where you have that many people who are starting from behind zero, and they're trying to catch up, and they're trying to be the best they can. That's definitely going to add to the stress. And then you have a lot of places where they just won't get the positions filled in time. And as a result, you're going to have classrooms that are bigger than they need to be. You're going to have classrooms that are out of order and terribly managed because they'll just hire, like a sub. And it just seems like a situation that is rife for anxiety to continue to build, and for people to have a tough time going to work. The other thing that I do not miss about the classroom is the schedule. One of my friends and I were talking about, because she's back on campus and she's a teacher, we were talking about remote learning, and she was like, man, it was so nice. I could wake up in the morning, I could get coffee, I could take a walk, I could then come back to the house in my yoga pants and my nice shirt, and I could sit on the couch and I could work. And it was so nice. And I was like, yo, that's a life a lot of people know. A lot of people know waking up in the morning, getting breakfast, taking a walk or going to work out, coming back home and going to work. That's why I think remote working and working from home is so popular and people don't want to give it up. It's because that's nice. It's nice to be able to do that. And I think teachers, a lot of times, unless I used to work with this one guy and he would get up every morning at 4 a.m. and bike 20 miles. He was in his 60s. It did make me feel a type of way about my own physical fitness, but whatever. But unless you're that dude, a lot of times it's really hard to get up and like live a full existence before you go to work as a teacher. Number one, the days start extremely early. I've worked at schools that start at 8:05. I've worked at schools that start at 7:30. I've worked at schools that start at 9 a.m., but the days do start very early. So there's not a lot of coffee, breakfast, take a walk. A lot of times it's just let me get up, get my makeup on, get coffee. If I have time, I'll stop at the Starbucks on the way to school. And of course, if you're very organized and whatever, you probably could figure it out. But I know a lot of people who struggled, who definitely struggled when it came to getting to work on time and having everything taken care of. There's a lot of people who get their own time, but they ain't ate nothing. They ain't had no coffee. They're wearing whatever they could pull together. And then on top of that, once you hit that classroom, your mind is no longer your mind. Your mind belongs to those kids. You're focused on them in every way. You're constantly giving out your energy that a lot of times you don't get back. So in a lot of ways, I felt like when I was a teacher, I was always running on empty all day long. Like I never got the chance to regain that, especially if your first period class is tough, which normally they're a little bit sleepier in the morning, so it's easier. But I know I would get hit with that second period. That was tough, and it required a lot of my energy. And so, my mornings now are just a lot better. Being able to wake up, have coffee, think about what I'm going to do with my day, and then start my day in a really conscientious way that feels organic to me. Because you do have early risers. You do have people that no problem. You see them if you work at a campus. They burst in the door, they're humming, they're skipping, they're in a great mood. But that was not me. I needed probably till about 10 a.m. to really, get comfortable and be in a good frame of mind. And when you're a teacher, you don't have until 10 a.m. You have to be on from the second you step in that building. And it can take a lot out of you. So I appreciate my mornings. I also appreciate lunches, being able to go and just get lunch, or go and make lunch whenever I want to. Me and my friend talked about that as well. She's like, I can step away and just eat. I don't know how many times as a teacher that I was running on E, or like trying to eat a little snack, or like eat and teach, because you get 30 minutes for a lunch break. And that's another thing, your breaks. I enjoy being able to just go to the bathroom if I have to go to the bathroom, instead of waiting for somebody to come and cover my class. And, I'm standing by the door, tapping my foot, and I'm pacing, going back and forth until somebody can get over there, if somebody can even get over there. In general, I enjoy being able to take better care of myself on a day-to-day basis than I was when I was teaching. Okay, so what could make me go back? What would make me re-enter the classroom after everything I've just said? Well, the first thing that I was thinking about was health insurance. I've always had great benefits when I was teaching. I know that's not everybody's situation, but now I'm on the ACA plan, and it actually scares me because I'm just used to having to pay literally nothing when I go to the doctor. So I'm like, girl, if you got aches and pains, you better make sure they're serious if you're going to the doctor, because I don't. I just don't. I'm like, wait, pay what? Do what? Deductible. I'm just not used to it, because especially the last place I worked, they took care of everything, and all I had to worry about was my copay. And I had literally, I went to, I think it's just non-invasive surgery. It's like a walk-in, walk-out procedure. All I paid was $50. That was it. So, I missed that. I also missed things that they set up for you, like, your 401k, your 403b. Even though, I didn't always have a lot to put in there, I liked knowing that mandatorily something was going away, something that I would never see in my check. I also like that they automatically take taxes out. I think that one of the things that people talk about a lot with the creator economy is the fact that a lot of things you do they're not taxed, a lot of the money you get. So taxes at the end of the year are extremely stressful. And what I miss about teaching is just being able to really quickly hand them that good W-2 from my school. That's where I worked, and figure out my taxes in an hour or less. I mean, that's nice. So those things are nice, and I keep those things in mind. But what would it take for me to go back? Absolutely a situation where I was not expected to run myself into the ground for the sake of the students and for the sake of the school as a whole. I think every school I've ever worked at, I've been asked to do above and beyond. And I do it because I'm the type of person that once I get in there, I really, really get in there. I'll take on the extra classes. I'll do the extra coaching. I'll do the tutorials. I'll work from here to here. But what I'll never forget about my time in the classroom is there was no time for me to develop me. And not everybody is the same way. Some people don't need all that. Some people, they're just like, I teach, I go home, watch TV, it's fine. But I always felt like there was something else I needed to be developing, something else I needed to be working on. So when I ran into the young woman who was like, hey, I work at the district, I could get you a job by Friday. And she was telling me where I would work and what my job would be. I was just like, it sounds great right now. But when you go in, the reality is I'm going to have 7 periods, 6 or 7 periods. The reality is I'm going to have 30 to 40 kids in each class. The reality is I'm going to have to come up with projects and assignments, and I'm going to do it because when I get in, I laser focused. But is that the best thing for this stage of my life right now? And the answer was no. So in order for me to go back, I would definitely have to find a job where I could do those things, but it wouldn't be a situation where I knew the energy was just being siphoned out of me at a rapid rate. And I don't think that kind of teaching position exists. Number one, because that's not who I am as a teacher. I'm very all hands on deck. And number two, because the current state of American public education right now is not a situation where teachers are ever going to be asked to do less or give less of themselves. It is all or nothing, 10 toes down, put your best face forward. It's literally like fighting a war at this point. And if you are going back into teaching, if you're going back into a classroom this year, if you're going once more into the breach, dear friends, I hope you have a wonderful year. I hope you're able to find communities and teachers and people you can talk to. I hope and pray that you have students who want to be there, because that sometimes makes all the difference. No matter how stressed out you were. I used to have one class, no matter what was going on with me, I know my 5th period had me. They're quiet, they're doing the work. No matter what's going on with me, I can count on this group of 39 kids to be excited about the assignment, to work in groups like they have some sense, and to, when it's necessary for us to just do silent work, they are engrossed in that assignment and they're working and they're happy with it and they're happy to come back every day. It was such an ideal situation that I recorded it one time. Of course, I'm not going to show it here, but I show it to people sometimes who don't believe that kids of that size, classrooms of that size, can be run smoothly. I'm like, well, I did have a couple years with a couple groups and this is one of them. So, but yeah, if you're going back into classrooms, I hope and pray that you have great kids. I hope you have administration that understands what you're up against. And I hope all of you have the stamina of my 60-something-year-old coworker who was able to wake up earlier enough in the morning to give himself the kind of day, the kind of reset to be able to go out in the world and deal with the realities of being on a middle school campus. He was in some of the best physical and mental health I've ever seen. He was such an example. I never did it, but he was still an example. I hope those things for you. Thanks for watching.